all across America and around the world. This is Veterans Radio. This is Veterans Radio.
Good day. I'm Jim Fossone. I'm the officer of the deck today here on Veterans Radio, and thanks for joining us. We've got some interesting stories for you. We always want to remind you you can find more about Veterans Radio at its Facebook site or at the web, veteransradio.org, where we're on the web 24/7. You can find a lot of our podcasts there as well. We post new ones every Tuesday, so you can get a new story, a new interview, something you didn't know before by going to veteransradio.org. And before we get started, we want to thank our sponsors. First up, we want to thank National Veteran Business Development Council, NVBDC.org. It was established to certify both service-disabled and veteran-owned businesses. You'll find out how they can help your business by going to NVBDC.org. We want to thank Legal Help for Veterans. Legal Help for Veterans fights for veterans' disability rights all across the nation. You can reach them at 800-693-4800 or on the web at legalhelpforveterans.com. And finally, PuroClean. PuroClean is the paramedics of property damage. It provides water damage remediation, flood water removal, fire and smoke damage remediation, mold removal, biohazard cleanup. It also has a focus on veteran franchisees. You can learn more about them by going to puroclean.com. We just want to remind you that Veterans Radio podcasts are available on all your favorite streaming platforms, including RSS.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Rees Across America Radio. So wherever you are, you can find us. We were recently identified as in the 15th spot, if you will, of the top 100 veteran-centric podcasts by FeedSpot. So we're really pretty proud of being in the top 15. So listen in wherever you're at to veteransradio.org and its podcasts. We're talking today on Veterans Radio with Keith King, CEO and founder of National Veteran Business Development Council, better known as NVBDC.org, about an upcoming conference they have on October 29th and 30th. Keith, welcome back to Veterans Radio. Tell us about this upcoming conference.
Well, thank you, Jim. It's good to be back. When you hear something like that on the radio, it's another conference. No, it isn't. This is the greatest opportunity most veterans will ever have to work with our corporate members. And I say that because in 2 days, October 29th and 30th, down in Spartanburg, South Carolina, we have currently 33 corporations already signed up to not only attend, but they are specifically looking for veteran-owned businesses to talk to. And we call that one-on-one. And those one-on-one meetings have proven so successful that our corporations love them. They, matter of fact, I'm chuckling because at the end of, it was yesterday, I got 3 emails from our corporate members asking me to send them the 26th conference details, and I know I should have them. I don't. So
hey, let's get through October 29th and 30th, 2025 down in Spartanburg, South Carolina first. And actually, I didn't read the title of this conference. It really goes back to what you said. This isn't just another boring conference. This is the National Veteran Business Matchmaking Conference and Veteran Marketplace. And as you say, you have 33 corporations coming there to talk to veteran business owners and do business. I see Sunoco on the list. I see Denny's on the list. I see Stellantis on the list. I mean, this is cutting across all industries, isn't it?
Of course. And, I don't like necessarily, pointing out what I would call the cherries, on top. But, I got little companies I'm sure most people have heard about called like Walmart, Coca-Cola.
Right.
Oh, wait, that's Amazon. So when you start looking at who is actually here, or not here, but will be in Spartanburg on the 29th and 30th, this is an opportunity, regardless of what you do, to come in and sit down and actually have a one-on-one with these various corporate people. And the good news of this is that they have chosen, and I mean they select, on a one-on-one, because they want to know what's new. They want to know what's great. They want to know what our veterans are bringing to the table. So, we just find it to be one of those things where, well, I know you've been there, and it kind of takes on its own energy. It takes on its own.
Oh, there's so much networking that you could never do otherwise by getting all these big shots and purchasing agents in a room where veteran business owners can talk to them. Keith, if they want to know more, I'm going to direct them to nvbdc.org/events. This National Veteran Business Matchmaking Conference and Veteran Marketplace is coming up. It's October 29th and 30th. But go to the website, click on the conference registration. They've got hotel information. They've got the agenda there. As you say, I've been these things, and the energy is dynamic. Nobody will really walk away disappointed.
No. Well, the other thing here, too, is that I've upset my entire staff because they have wanted to and basically put out, hey, registration is closed. No, it's not.
It's never closed.
My voice. If you hear my voice saying, hey, registration is open, and one of my people say it's closed, you say, I heard Keith King say it's open, and then I'll take the heat. So,
Good.
As far as I'm concerned, you can show up on the morning of the 29th and register and join the rest of not only these corporations, but frankly, our fellow veterans.
Well, this is a great program. We recommend it to folks. We're going to move on to some other things that are going on at NVBDC.
Yep.
Beyond this conference and beyond planning for next year's conference, you've got other things going on besides certifying veteran-owned businesses. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, one of the things that, if you're a business owner, I have been working behind the scenes for 10 years on this idea that we know that we have a lot of Americans overseas owning and running a business. Now, how many of them are veterans? Well, in talking to the various organizations, a lot of them, or I should say, these organizations have said, well, we actually have a lot of Americans overseas. Now, the group that we have put together is the ITA, which is the International Trade Association, part of the Department of Commerce, that those guys have been phenomenal. They said, we didn't know about you. I said, I didn't know about you, and, let's see what we can do together. They have worked now with me and, of course, the Export-Import Bank, who has been supporting us for a long time, and they're opening up their doors of information and all the different background. And we're working with the SBA. We're working with a lot of, there's a group out there that says, Vets Go Global. Well, the two guys who are the founders of that work for the government, and I know both, and they're now excited with the rest of the team that we've built. I am going to announce all of what you're hearing today at the event. We are going to have representatives of the organizations I just mentioned there as well. And usually what we'll try to do is do an individual breakout session for people who are interested not only in importing, but exporting. And we have phenomenal ideas and support on it. I talked to one of my guys, says he's got 3 plants overseas. Well, the companies, the ITA, all these guys I mentioned to you, said, hey, I want his name right now because the thing that they would love to have happen is to see what they can do to help bring him back to America. I mean, I'm talking about money to move the plants. I'm talking about financial and civic and all kinds of support that I didn't know existed.
Well, that really highlights it, doesn't it, Keith? We don't know what we don't know, and unless you go talk to people like this, you're not going to know.
Well, exactly. And, some people say, what, you took 10 years to find this out? Yeah. What, am I supposed to be embarrassed that I've been working on something for 10 years? No, because what I wanted to do is make sure that once we come public and say, hey, if you're interested in doing any kind of international business, either import or export, come to this meeting. You will talk to the right people. These are the people who do this every day. And thankfully, they love what we do. And, so I get to announce this, and we're going to be up and running. So well into the future, you can imagine the companies that I mentioned earlier who are part of the Matchmaking one-on-one conference. You wouldn't be surprised, I'm sure, Jim, that if I start naming these names all over again, you'll know that they're doing international.
Oh, absolutely. And again, if people are interested in this area, want to be following along the NVBDC.org website, resource website, go to Global Initiatives, and it has a whole explanation and more detail on this. So it really has come together. Just one of the many projects you're working on. You want to talk about another?
Oh. Fingered the button.
Okay, we lost you. Let me start it back again. Do you want to tell me about some other projects you're working on?
Yeah, I want to tell the veterans here in Michigan about another great victory for us. The state of Michigan, NVBDC in particular, has awarded us a grant so that we can take this grant and put a program together for our veteran businesses in Michigan to, one, help pay in full their certification fee, training, entrepreneur training. The idea that one of the things that we have run into over the years, and I know you've seen it live, Jim, but our guys who have been working in the federal space don't really seem to understand or realize that when you're talking to a corporation, that's a different conversation than if you're talking to a project manager or a buyer at the federal level. Because when you're talking to Walmart, you're talking to Delta, you're talking to Amazon or, Apple, for God's sake. They all have pretty much a standardized process and procedure that we have to train, or we do train anyways, our veterans on how to do, act, interact, and work with our corporations. So the state has done a phenomenal positive effect for our veterans. We are going to roll out the campaign probably by the end of this year. We're expecting it in December. We'll roll it and then roll it most of 26. But the fact is again, this is the kind of thing that because of working, with the state, and the state said, hey, we want our vets to be successful, that we've gone ahead with this grant, and we're really excited about rolling it. And it's one of the few times I'm going to ever have to work with our vets where I have somebody basically supporting us financially, supporting them financially, and wanting them to be successful. So we have a lot of positive things, on the table, and we're working hard to make them all real.
Well, that's an amazing grant from the state, and actually it sounds like a great pilot program. Once you do this in the state of Michigan and prove it up, you just know your friends down in Ohio and Virginia and Florida are all going to say, we ought to be doing the same thing for our veteran-owned businesses. So again, it's all about being a certified veteran-owned business.
Well, I think you must be psychic, because I just, a couple of months ago, did a full-blown presentation to basically the state of Ohio and a lot of their corporate members, as well as the state members, about what we do. And although I always have to be careful with the Michigan-Ohio State issue, in this particular case, it's like, okay, we can, for our veterans, we'll make an exception and we'll actually sit down. So I know that you're absolutely right, Jim, in the sense that the states that you mentioned, we have either already talked to or have them, basically in our sites, so that we can sit down with these guys and say, okay, here's what we do, and look at the people who are supporting us. And oh, by the way, besides the work in Michigan, we're already doing similar work in California, and yada yada yada. So
now this is that's exciting stuff, and again, I think even more reason why value is received. It's all about ROI, right? Return on investment. For a business owner, a veteran-owned business owner, to say, I'm going to go through the process of getting certified, which is rigorous, but in the end, I can see there's a lot of value of having that stamp of approval from an outside organization like NVBDC.
Well, I know that, whenever you and I are together, we always talk about knowing the return on investment of the certification. But what we're realizing even more so is that when a veteran calls me and says, I just want you to know, because of your certification, you saved my business, my marriage, all these different, things that we never can say, hey, get certified, we're going to be able to save your marriage. We can't say that. We would never say that. But the vets who call us will. And what we know is exactly what you're talking about. These are the ancillary benefits. Because, again, the calls and the vets who will be at the event, you may have heard it as well, as when they'll come up to us and say, oh, my God, ever since we've been certified, we have been talking to X, Y, and Z, and we're having great, response. And this has really, been beneficial to me and my job and my business and all those things. So, we're believers.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate the time you've given us today, Keith King, CEO and founder of NVBDC.org. You've got this great upcoming conference in October, early 29th and 30th. And we look forward to talking to you next year about both how that all went, but also how this new program with the state's going to work out. So, and the international aspect of it. So, lot more to talk about in the future.
You got it, and thanks again for all of your help and support with our vets and NVBDC. So we'll just keep on working, buddy. So
you got it. Thanks, Keith.
We'll talk soon.
And I want to thank everybody for listening to Veterans Radio today. I am Jim Fossone. It's been a pleasure to be your host. I'm a veterans disability lawyer at Legal Help for Veterans, and you can reach us at 800-693-4800 or legalhelpforveterans.com on the web. You can follow Veterans Radio on Facebook and listen to its podcasts and internet radio shows
by visiting us at veteransradio.org. That's veteransradio.org. We again want to thank our National sponsors, the National Veterans Business Development Council, NVBDC.org. Legal Help for Veterans, a veterans disability law firm with a national practice before the VA. Can help you on your claims and your appeals. It can be reached at legalhelpforveterans.com or 1-800-693-4800. And PuroClean, a leader in property emergency services. It's the paramedics of property damage, providing water damage remediation, flood water removal, fire and smoke damage remediation, mold and biohazard cleanups. You can reach them at puroclean.com or 800-775-7876. We also want to thank our local sponsors. This would include the Charles S. Kettles chapter of the Vietnam Veterans of America, that's chapter 310, VFW Graf O'Hara Post 423, the American Legion Irwin Preskin Post 46 in Ann Arbor as well, the VA Ann Arbor Healthcare System, and certainly the National Vietnam Veterans of America Association. You can be a sponsor by going to veteransradio.org, clicking on the About Us and our sponsors, and help us out. Keep this program alive for the 21 and 22 years. Keep us going for another 20. Thank you.